Everything in SaaS looks secure, but that's exactly the problem, because attackers don't break in. They use what already works. This isn't about advanced attacks. It's about simple mistakes. Welcome to CyberMigos. Cybersecurity made simple. This isn't a high-level overview. This is how SaaS environments actually fail in practice and what needs to be controlled to secure them properly. SaaS changes the security model completely. Traditionally, security focused on protecting systems inside a network. But with SaaS, the system is no longer yours. The infrastructure is external, the application is external, and access happens over the internet. So the problem shifts from protecting infrastructure to controlling identity, access, and data. If a SaaS platform is not integrated with SSO, authentication becomes fragmented. Users log in directly to the application, using credentials that are not centrally controlled. In practice, this means each application becomes its own identity system. Policies are inconsistent. Logging is inconsistent, and visibility is reduced. From a security perspective, even worse, weak controls on those entry points. Attackers don't need to break the strongest system. They only need to find the weakest one. Even where identity is integrated, account policies often drift across platforms. Different SaaS providers enforce different controls. Password strength varies. MFA is not always enforced. Account lockout rules differ. This creates uneven security across the environment. And in real-world scenarios, attackers target the platform with the weakest controls, not the most critical one, the easiest one. Account lifecycle management is one of the most common failure points. Users join the organization, they change roles, and eventually they leave. But access is not always updated correctly. In many environments, leavers retain access for extended periods. Permissions accumulate over time, and accounts are not fully deprovisioned. These orphaned or over-permissioned accounts become long-term risk. Not because they are actively used, but because they are forgotten. SaaS platforms rely heavily on API keys. These keys are often created for integrations, automation, and services. But in many environments, there is no central inventory of those keys. Ownership is unclear, rotation is not enforced, and usage is not monitored. This creates hidden access paths, long-lived credentials that operate outside normal authentication controls, and because they are not visible, they are rarely reviewed. In modern SaaS environments, access is session-based. After authentication, a token represents that session. The system trusts that token. If that token is intercepted or stolen, it can be reused. No password required, no MFA challenge. From the platform's perspective, the access is valid. This is why many SaaS attacks do not involve breaking authentication. They involve reusing it. Many organizations do not have a clear understanding of their data, what data exists, where it is stored, and who has access to it. Without that understanding, security controls cannot be applied effectively, because protection depends on context, and without visibility, there is no context. Data exposure in SaaS environments often occurs through configuration. Files are shared too broadly, links are made public, permissions are granted excessively. These are not complex attacks, they are simple configuration issues. But the impact can be significant, because once data is exposed, control is lost. Monitoring in SaaS environments is often limited, because activity appears legitimate. Users are authenticated. Access is authorized. From a system perspective, everything looks normal, but behavior may not be. And without behavioral monitoring, these patterns go undetected. SaaS adoption often occurs outside formal governance. Teams introduce tools independently to solve business problems. These tools are not reviewed. They are not integrated, and they are not monitored. This creates blind spots in the environment, where data exists without control. To secure SaaS, a structured control model is required. Identity must be centralized, access must be governed, data must be understood, and activity must be monitored continuously. Without this structure, risk accumulates over time. So the risk isn't SaaS itself, it's the lack of control over identity access and data. SaaS doesn't break security, poor control does. Like and subscribe and watch CyberMigos for more cybersecurity breakdowns.